right, welcome back to Redline Rundown, your front row seat to all things car culture, performance, behind the scenes of the car scene. I'm Nate with Sokudo Empire, where we drive with passion, community, over competition. Always keep it safe, smart, and inclusive at our meets. Hope to see you at a meet. Season's kind of winding down. We're going to kind of do a few things here and there, but definitely hope to catch you at the next event. So today, we're going to be digging into what's hot, what's not in the car industry, some big winners and losers from quarter three of 2025, head turning models that are coming or going. Let's take a deeper look at fuel, powertrain, market shifts. You'll want to know as an enthusiast or some recent events. Let's get into it. If you think the car make, excuse me, if you think the car market was only about EVs and trucks again in quarter three, there were some surprises. Right now in the United States in quarter three of 2025, they were up 5% year over year versus quarter three of 2023. So Toyota had a jump 16% in sales in their hybrid sales. So I know a lot of people are not fans of EVs, and the market kind of shows that the consumers are buying, so it's hard to say where that's going to end up going. Right now, the numbers are showing that there are an increase in those EV sales. Hyundai had a 13% increase year over year for their SUVs like the Santa Fe and Palisade. I remember when the Palisade first came out, I kind of liked the ads that they had for it and liked it, but then when I saw it in person, wasn't too much of a fan. But clearly, with a 27% jump, a lot of people are digging the Palisade. Ford had a jump with its best quarter ever for electrified vehicles, trucks, and SUVs. It continues to show that the market for sedans is not the greatest. It's a struggling area for a lot of car manufacturers. Chevy did some refreshing with their SUVs like the Tahoe and Suburban and Equinox. There were some gains there with their sales. So even Nissan, who's been struggling a lot, and they had a failed merger with Honda, their sales are up 5.3% in the truck and SUV department as well. Now, when it comes to car manufacturers that didn't do well and are losing in some areas, we've got the Buick, Korean, and Chinese built imports had a significant drop. The Encore GX had a 38% drop. The Envision had a 35% drop. They do say that tariffs kind of played a role in some of that. Tariffs definitely have been a big role in some of the things that are happening in the car market. So we'll continue to see how that plays a role. Now, Volkswagen, Jetta sales are down 42%. GTI sales are down 42%. And that's a big identifier in the fact that sales with sedans are just struggling significantly. You figure 42%, that's almost 50% down year over year. And even with the Alfa Romeo, they only had 286 sales in quarter three of 2025. So a lot of car manufacturers did preemptively get away from sedans, and the numbers kind of show that it was a good idea for them to do so, just because consumers aren't really interested in sedans anymore. There are fewer and fewer sedan models out there. A lot of people are looking for SUVs, more space to do things. You have a lot of larger families now, so SUVs and trucks just kind of make a lot of sense for a lot of families. I know in the car scene, sedans still kind of reign supreme, but I do see people who do mod out, unique cars, the mini SUVs and things like that. Again, it's just a true testament to being an enthusiast. If you are an enthusiast, you'll find a way to create a vision for a vehicle that you enjoy to drive. So by all means, continue to do that. Enjoy it. Now, after 2025, the Kia Soul will be no longer. Now, I can tell you, I know a few people that have them. They enjoy driving it. But when those hamsters came out and that first commercial for the Kia Soul, I was not a fan. I can probably every single hamster commercial I was not a fan of. So it did find a market share at some point. People did enjoy buying them. They were around for a while, but it's kind of reached its end. So after 2025, they won't be any more Kia Souls. Let's see, the Porsche 911 GTS 2025 model apparently outpaced this previous model. They did some testing and it was able to beat the acceleration tests for the previous year's model. So if you're into Porsches and you've got the bankroll to get a 2025 911 GTS, there are some improvements there. So enjoy it. Now, the 2026 Honda Prelude. A lot of people are expressed their disdain for this vehicle. Me personally, it doesn't look bad. I like some of the lines on it. I do like the way it looks. I've only seen it in that blue color that tends to show up online everywhere. Now, it is a hybrid coupe. Now, this hybrid coupe was listed at 200 horsepower. Now, that kind of tends to seem like it's the 200 number seems to be like a fair number across the board when it comes to vehicles now. Like if they put a vehicle out, they'll kind of put it at that 200 horsepower range so that you can kind of get a little bit pep in your step, but it won't be super slow like in the 170 to 180 range. Now, they haven't listed the curb weight for the US model, but I do know that in Japan, the Honda Prelude is selling very well. So we're not exactly sure how well it will do here in the US, but I do know that typically with a few of the models that Honda has released where people originally were not too excited about, did kind of find its fanfare here in the United States. So who's to say who will or who won't purchase the Honda Prelude here in 2026? We'll keep an eye on it and see where it goes. So I did kind of have not a back and forth, but a comment on someone's story about how they weren't a fan of the Prelude at all. The specs didn't move them. They would never buy it, and this, that, and the third. Complaining about the horsepower. I feel like everyone thinks every car needs to have 1,000 horsepower or high amounts of horsepower for you to be able to enjoy driving the car, and that's just not true. The biggest thing you have to take into consideration is weight ratio of the vehicle. If you have a vehicle that is lighter than some, like for example, let's take a Dodge Challenger. It's one of the heavier vehicles out there. If you had a Dodge Challenger making 1,000 horsepower and you have, let's say, a Honda Civic making 1,000 horsepower, that Honda Civic, because it's a lighter vehicle, will perform much differently than a Dodge Challenger. So getting stuck on hearing this horsepower number, I think, is a trap where people assume that the horsepower has to be a certain number to be able to get a good driving experience from a vehicle, and that's just not the case. One of the other takeaways is if you look at some of the EVs that do have higher horsepower numbers, they tend to end up being unsafe, just because if you have someone that went from driving, let's say a Nissan Altima that had 180 horsepower, and then you put them behind a vehicle that has 1,000 horsepower, that's a huge increase in an expectation of thinking that this driver will be able to navigate the difference in driving styles. And that can be super problematic. It can be unsafe for them, unsafe for other drivers on the road. So you got to take that into consideration when you have the horsepower conversation. Now, a lot of drivers, when they are doing performance mods to their cars, they go the E85 route. I do know not many places up by us here in the Hudson Valley do E85. There are ways that you can work around it. to mix fuel to make E85, but I do know that E85 is looking to be phased out. Part of it is just because it, it it can be somewhat problematic to use if your car is not specifically tuned, or you don't upgrade your fuel lines or your fuel system to handle E85. Then you can run into issues running E85. Now, if you are someone who's heavy into racing, then I'm sure you'll find your workarounds for E85. But I do know there were some gas companies that did make the efforts to make sure that they were making E85 readily available for people, but it doesn't seem as if it's something that will continue to happen, just especially since of the decline of, sedans and cars that may be interested in using E85. Now, when you think about hybrids and EVs and crossovers and everything like that, the numbers are going up. People are buying into them. Now, does that mean that you have to draw a line in the sand and say that, oh, it's one or the other? I don't think so. I think you can do both. I've had conversations, or I've heard conversations where someone decides that they'll kick the dog shit out of an EV just because it's an EV, off of the idea that combustion is king, and I understand that. Now, you can be a fan of something and appreciate something else. As someone who drives a gas vehicle, I can appreciate the things that come with driving an EV vehicle. Does that mean I'm going to run out and get one? No, but I can understand it and not be inherently biased or say disparaging things about it. EVs have their ups and downs, just like gas vehicles have their ups and downs. Diesels have, everything comes with good and bad. So it does seem a little bit on the outlandish and immature side to be like, oh, EVs suck. Like, we get it, bro. It's it is what it is. Does having an EV mean you can't participate in car culture? Absolutely not. Like, there are mods that can be done to EVs, and you can still be a great car enthusiast driving an EV. So for someone to make it seem like you have to drive a gas vehicle to be a car enthusiast just seems wildly immature. Now, let's see. At the end of the day, there have been a few different meets and events that have taken place lately that I want to shout out, just because the car scene is a very interesting place. I think a lot of times people go from supporting one another to, I guess, no longer supporting, maybe because the expectations have surpassed and you're now exceeding what someone expected you to be able to do. Ego is a huge part of it, unfortunately. I think a lot of people have their stories as to how they may have joined a group and things didn't go how they thought it would go, so they've moved on. A lot happens, and managing personalities will always be one of the more difficult parts of car culture in the car community. Yeah, if you go online, you'll see a post. You post something about your car, someone will comment on the fitment of your car, which doesn't make any sense, because for the most part, it's your car. Why would you think that your fitment is someone else's business? And the car culture is one of the few places where someone will be comfortable enough to comment on what you're doing with your car. They've put no money in your pocket. They've not bought a part. They've not contributed to the work that you've done on your car, or any of that. But they're very comfortable in commenting on what you have going on, which just doesn't make any sense. And it kind of can be frustrating for a lot of people, just because it can be discouraging at times for some people. Block out the noise. Find your happy place. Do what makes you happy. Ignore everyone and everything else, because the moment you look to build a car for other people, you're already at a disadvantage. It doesn't make any sense to work on building a vehicle for someone else. So I can appreciate Willie at Check 8 for doing what he's doing. He hosted a car show the other day. It was amazing to watch. It was at a garage in Brooklyn. I was lucky enough to be invited. Willie, thank you again for inviting me. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to stay the entire time. The time I was there, I had an amazing time. There was a lot of people I saw that I knew. I didn't see any issues. Watching so many enthusiasts come together and enjoy being in a space is one of the best parts of this. It's one of the reasons why I do what I do. Being able to be in an atmosphere where everyone's getting along and vibing, and there's great cars and people. You've got photographers taking pictures. You got models. You've got there was a woman dressed in a ballet outfit taking pictures. There was a guy that looked like in the Transformers. There was just so much going on, and it was great to see. It was definitely an event that was well put together. There's always going to be hiccups with any event. The hiccups here didn't outweigh the things that I enjoyed here, so it's not worth even mentioning. So I wish I would have been able to stay and get more content and have had conversations with people and just see more cars, but unfortunately I wasn't able to. So I hope that, Willie, you're able to do it again and I can stay longer and just soak up the culture, just because it's so refreshing to see. Shout out to Performance Driven, a new club in our area in the scene, hosted a meet Saturday. Some of the team went. I wasn't able to go, unfortunately, but I heard good things about it. I again appreciate the invite. Always looking and willing to support people who are looking to promote the car scene in a positive light. We have enough struggles and trials and tribulations out there where we don't need to self-inflict issues on our own. Self-inflicting issues in the scene by doing, takeover type behavior just doesn't make any sense. So the event went really well. I didn't hear any bad issues. I'm proud of what you were able to do. It takes a lot for someone to step into the ring and go ahead and host an event. A lot of times what I've seen from people who were looking to host, they would do it haphazardly. They're looking for the celebration of hosting an event versus the collaboration of hosting. And what I mean by that is, when people see someone host an event, they think that there's no work that goes into it, no planning. You just post a flyer on Instagram and people show up, and that's the end of it. There's conversations that go into it. You reached out to us. You mentioned, you messaged me. I know you messaged other people to set this up, and you can see that the work was put in to make sure that the event took place well, and went off without a hitch. Those are the things that a lot of the younger generation doesn't understand about trying to host events here in the car culture. It's not just a matter of you throw up a flyer and you just hope all goes well in a parking lot. I've been able to watch people succeed and fail in this. I don't wish failure on anyone, but you do have to understand that it is work. It's not just you get lucky or you just kind of a drop in a pan and just let things fall how they go. So again, performance driven. You did a great job hosting. I hope I can make it out to your next event. I hope you continue to host events and it goes really well for you. There's always enough room here in the A45 or Hudson Valley for great groups to host events for people to go and have a good time. Now, the last event that happened this past Saturday, it was titled the Mazda event, but all cars were welcome. It was hosted by Jalissa. I did do an interview with her about her and her Mazda Miata, but went to the last one she hosted, and it went really well. So I was upset I wasn't able to go this time, but from the pictures and videos that I saw, it looked really good. It looked like everyone had a good time. Again, there were no issues. It looks like you guys went to another event afterwards. These are the things that, you see happen, and it puts a smile on your face because it happened. You had a night where car enthusiasts got to come out, park up, talk, have a good time, and just vibe. That's always dope to see. It kind of gives you hope that the car community is trending in the right direction. Of course, there have been a few incidents that have happened where you're kind of worrying like where things are going and things of that nature. So it's always dope to see when it goes right and people are successful in what they do. And I always wish people success, because when they put the time and work into it like she did, you deserve the success. You deserve to bask in the success of the work and fruits of your labor. So I hope that you continue to host events. Again, it's starting to get cold here in New York. I've heard a bunch of people say it snowed today. So, come the spring, hopefully everyone's still around it and hosting events, and we can all, go to each other's events and continue to put on for the car community in a positive light. Now, before I go, there are certain things that I've dealt with as being the leader or president or owner of Sokudo Empire. And sometimes making decisions is not the easiest thing to do. You always want to make a good decision that reflects positively for the community and positive for everyone. Sometimes it's not always easy to do that. We're all human. We all make mistakes. But the biggest thing is to learn from those mistakes. Going forward, it'll always be a point for me to champion everyone who's looking to do the right thing in the car community. I've never been someone who has been interested in gatekeeping information from people. I've sold t-shirts for over 10 years. I've been a photographer for over 10 years. These are some of the things that I've put my hard work and time into doing. And if someone has questions, I'll never hesitate to answer those questions. Because of all the hard work and years that I've put into these things, someone honoring the credit of the work that I've put in is all that I ever ask of anything. It's not a matter of clout chasing or vanity or anything like that. If I take 1,000 pictures at a car event, I edit 100 of those pictures and I post the pictures. It would be frustrating for anyone to just come along, take the picture and post it without honoring the fact that I worked on that. I would never do that to someone else. When I've had the opportunity to give someone credit for something that they've done, I've done so because I know what it's like to work hard on something, put it out there, and share it with the world. Some people don't know what that's like, and it's not something where they should be vilified for it. But if a photographer speaks up about their work or anyone speaks up about their work, there's no reason to go back and forth and say, well, why do you want credit for that? Because it's my work. I've worked on it, whether it be staying up till 4 a.m. editing, like whatever it might be. You don't know the ins and outs, and it's easy to assume that, oh, what's the big deal? Be more respectful. If you worked on something, if you worked on anything in your life and someone didn't give you credit for it, it would be frustrating for you. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, be mindful, guys. That's all someone ever asks. I work with a bunch of different photographers, and it's all the same. Anytime you guys crop out their watermarks or you post their stuff without giving them credit, they all say something. Some may not say it out loud and verbalize it, but there are many photographers who have zero problems addressing the fact that they're not getting the credit for their work. And hopefully you guys can understand that it's not a matter of getting clout from it, but it's a matter of someone taking the time out of their day to work on something and them being appreciated for the work that they've done, especially if they're not getting paid for it. You get what I'm saying? So if someone's doing this work for free, the least you can do is tag them, bro. That's all it is. There are a lot of photographers out here who aren't making money on the pictures that they're taking. They're doing it with the hope of someone booking a private shoot and things like that. So if you're not going to tag them, how are they going to get, the opportunity to work with someone who may be looking for a photographer to book. So again, it's not needed to go back and forth. If someone expresses something that, as the owner of the content, bro, just be respectful. That's all it takes. There's no need for the back and forth, or things going down a crazy rabbit hole. But that's just how it should be. I look to honor everybody's wishes when it happens. Sure, we might not see eye to eye with stuff, but hopefully everybody, wins and sees eye to eye with things. So we're gonna keep doing Redline Rundown. There's not gonna be a lot of car meets and events. I know there's a Elite Tuner event coming up this Sunday. Gonna be there with a couple of the Sokudo Angels. It's our modeling division of Sokudo. Go follow. It's just Sokudo Angels, one word, on Instagram. It is, our Angels are national, so there are Angels here on the East Coast, out west. If you are interested in becoming a Sokudo Angel, reach out to Sokudo Empire on Instagram or the Sokudo Angels page, and we can have a conversation about that. Modeling is something that I feel anyone can do. You don't have to be, a certain height, weight, or anything like that. It's about confidence and being able to share beauty in the world, because beauty is everywhere. So at the end of the day, give it a shot, see where it goes. It's not super complicated. You even have an opportunity to make some money. Again, it's Sokudo Angels on Instagram. The application to apply is also there in the bio. And I'm just trying to have fun, guys. That's all it is. It's not that deep. Just have fun, stay safe, be unbothered. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.